Wink Martindale, for years on radio and television and now in publishing. With us on KMOX to discuss Winking at Life, his new autobio, the star of What's This Song? Dream Girl of 67. How is Your Mother-in-Law? Can You Top This? Words and Music, Gambit, Headline Chasers, Jubilee USA, but maybe the most important contribution to the world of television, Tic-Tac-Doe. Wink Martindale, welcome to KMOX in St. Louis.
Thanks a lot, Charlie. I noticed you sort of paused when you said, how is your mother-in-law?
How was
one of the great winners of all time.
My goodness, listen to that voice as well. You were in radio when the voice like that was the most important asset that the man had, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden along came people like Jeff Edwards, and it didn't matter anymore.
Hey, did you know Art Fleming, who worked at the station for years?
You know, I never did have the pleasure of meeting Art. I remember watching him on Jeopardy all those years that he did it in the daytime hours, and what a nice man. I always heard nothing but great things about him, but never had the pleasure to meet him.
He was a gentleman, and I used to think that people in your business, folks who hosted game shows, were kind of lightweights because you had to look good and sound good, but what else was required? Then I met Art, and I was convinced otherwise, and perhaps you can tell us just how easy a job is it to host a television game show?
Well, Charlie, you know, I think that truthfully it is not as easy as it looks. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it, although it seems like everybody is doing it these days. But I don't know. I think that the reputation of game shows and game show hosts has been sort of a question mark in a lot of circles over the years. But, you know, I went to high school and college, finished with a BS degree, and I figure I'm not the dumbest person in the world, while I'm not the smartest person in the world. I got into the game show business simply because I enjoyed working with people. I'm a people person, and in 1965, I auditioned for a game show, not thinking I'd get it, but I got it at NBC, and I just went from one to the other, and 19 game shows later, I feel like I've sort of honed my craft to a degree, and I think that, you know, it's been a good living for me, and I think it's an honorable living, and I sort of look askance sometime at people who put game shows and game show hosts down. The game shows have been with us since the days of radio, and it's a very important part of programming, I think.
You have hosted some of the best game shows of all, and some of the not-so-best ones. Are you surprised at the success of the new Millionaire show with Regis now?
No, I can honestly say I'm not. I've always felt that game shows would enjoy a resurgence if we ever had one that was a breakthrough show. And I think certainly this show is a breakthrough show. I've never seen anything like it. It's a phenomenon. And, of course, it was a hit in England for years. They've never given away $1 million over there. I don't know whether the questions are harder or not. But I feel that Millionaire is a good show, more than just a good show, simply because it gives the opportunity for the entire family, the youngsters, and everybody sits around, they watch, and my gauge for a good game show is, does it make the viewer yell at the television set? And they sit there and they say, oh, you fool, you idiot, don't you know it's C instead, you know. And once you get that, once you reach that plateau, you know you got a winner. It's interesting, it's entertaining, and it's compelling. And all of the people who knock the show simply because the early stages of the questions are somewhat easy, it was all planned that way. You know, that's the way the show was planned, to get the young people, the very young people in, so that everybody thinks they can play the game, and that's what's happened, and that's, I think, the reason it's successful. Wheel of Fortune was successful all those years, Charlie, I think, in my humble opinion, which, as Wayne Newton says, I do respect, because the people at home got the answer before the people on the show got it.
Regis, there's no question that Regis has done an outstanding job with that show.
He really has.
But can the host make or break a talk show?
I don't think that a host can make or break a show. I think the show has to be there, but a host can certainly lend something to the show. And I think Regis goes a step further. I've always been a fan of Regis since he was sidekick to Joey Bishop years ago. And I've been a fan of Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. I don't watch it on a regular basis, but I think that Regis has a tremendous amount of talent, and I think that what he brings to this particular show is the wit and the charm of the late Bill Cullen, who was my hero in this game show world. He was so talented. And Regis is an intelligent guy, and Regis brings out something in being the host that Dan Enright tried to teach me when I was doing tic-tac-toe, and that is that moment of drama. If you look at Regis and you watch it carefully, as I do, being in this business, Regis takes you right up to that point, and he knows when to shut up. He knows when to lay back. He finds a moment to get a little laugh. He gets it. He elicits that charm of the laughter when it's needed. And I think the most charm of all for me in that show is the fact that the network, the producers, are giving the contestant, the player, the chance to commiserate with Regis, if you will, to chat back and forth. And I know when I was doing tic-tac-toe, we were in syndication, and it was a 30-minute show, and you had X number of commercials. It's like you on your radio. You know, you got to get the commercials in. You got to be sure that everything moves along, which is the way it should be. Fortunately, with this show, somebody had the brains to make it an hour so that there is that time for people to, on the show, to take their time in answering. Oh, God, the other night I happened to be watching, and a guy must have taken 10 minutes to make his decision. Is he going to go or not? And I kept thinking, boy, what an unusual day and age this is when they give that guy 10 minutes just to sit there with that music playing and nobody's saying anything. Amazing program.
Okay, now, if you were going to rank, like, the people in your business, the all-time greats, Dick Clark, Jack Barry, Monty Hall, Bob Barker, Gene Rayburn, Alex Trebek, Bill Cullen, is there one that is the Michael Jordan of your industry?
Absolutely. He's no longer with us because cigarettes got him, but that was Bill Cullen. Bill Cullen, to me, was the definitive host. Not only was he a game show host, but he was just a great personality. As you know, he was the original host of The Price is Right. He was a panelist on What's My Line and I've Got a Secret. He was in that Goodson-Todman stable. And he was just, to me, the very best. Barker is, without question, the most professional, in my opinion. He goes about his work with such deftness. He's always prepared. He knows those games on The Price is Right as well as he knows his own name. Personally, I started as a young boy listening on radio and looking at people like Arthur Godfrey, who to me could sell ice to the Eskimos. You name it. Arthur Godfrey could sell it. And I thought that was a wonderful training ground for me. So what I used to do, if I might digress a moment, is I'd tear pages out of the Life magazine and pretend I was doing commercials just built around those advertisements in Life, because we got that magazine every year from the time I was old enough to read. But Alan Ludden is the one that I got totally turned on to. His program Password in 1964. I became addicted to the show. I would not miss it. I would plan my day around it. I guess that shows, where my brain is. But Password to me was just, how simple can a game show be? And that was it.
Winking at Life is the name of the book. Wink Martindale is our guest. Let's go back into your radio days. You started off in radio and you switched to TV, as so many people did. Do you still feel that radio, and what did you learn from radio that helped you on television?
Well, I learned how to, I don't know whether I'm showing it on this interview or not, so I almost hesitate to say this, but it teaches you how to ad-lib, first of all. Radio is not scripted. You've got to be able to think on your feet, talk on your feet, do your own thing. There's nobody there to write it out for you. There are no cue cards, no teleprompter. So on radio, the first thing I learned was what to say and what not to say. I remember when I was a rock jock at KFWB in the early 60s, and Chuck Bloor, one of the great rock jock program directors of all time, had a sign up on the wall in the control room. I'll never forget it. And it simply said, in big lettering, if you don't know what to say, don't do it, don't play it, and don't say it. And I think that goes for anybody who's getting into radio. You learn what to say and when to say it and when to shut up. And I don't know, I think that any success I've enjoyed as a stand-up host for a game show or on any talk show or anything else I've done in the business goes back to radio. And radio is so great. I love it today. People ask me from time to time in an interview, which do you like best? And I always say radio simply because, not to be self-serving at that moment, but simply because radio is immediate. We're talking right now. We are live. We are on the air. And with television, no matter whether you're doing a sitcom or a movie or a game show, whatever, you are live to tape. So you could tape a show today and it may be seen a month from now. To me, there's an immediacy that's lost. Regis' show is taped, I believe, one day in advance. So it's meant to look live, but his is as live as it's ever going to be for a game show.
Well, when you were doing radio in the 1950s and playing the music of Joe Stafford and Percy Faith and Patti Page, and then taste changed and the Beach Boys and the Beatles started coming around in the 60s, did you feel like a fish out of water, or did many disc jockeys at that time find themselves like caught in the cross currents of a music revolution?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought the same thing when Elvis hit and Bill Haley was Rockin' Around the Clock in the 50s. I thought, wow, I've been playing vanilla music, Patti Page, Joe Stafford, Eddie Fisher, that sort of thing. What's happening? And I thought, can I adapt to this? I remember so well thinking, what is this music? But then we all just went with the flow, those of us in the business and those of us who bought records, and all of a sudden there was just that subtle change that occurred during the mid and late 50s. And then when the Beatles hit and the hard rock stuff came down, the metal and all of that, that is the time that I really thought, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I should move on. Maybe I'm getting a little old for this business. And as a matter of fact, it was in '64, I remember it so well, the Beatles had the top 5 records on Billboard and Cashbox. The top 5 records in the country. And that's when I subtly made the decision that I was going to look for a different arena. Either get into what we call middle-of-the-road radio, but I wanted to get out of top 40. And that's when I auditioned for my first game show and then got it at NBC called What's This Song?
Winking at Life is the name of the book. Wink Martindale is our guest. We'll take some calls, Charlie.
Why not?
314-436-7900, 1-800-925-1120. TV can't do that. TV very rarely takes calls, but right now you can talk to Wink Martindale, host of many game shows, including Tic-Tac-Toe. He also had a friendship with Elvis. We'll talk about that. Take some phone calls. 10:30, McGraw-Millhaven, Charlie Brennan, here on KMOX.
Now an important message from Barnes Jewish Hospital. Is your voice often hoarse? Do you have problems swallowing? Have you noticed a lump in your mouth or neck? It may be nothing, or it could be a symptom of something more serious. Find out by attending a free ear, nose, and throat screening Saturday, April 1st from 8 a.m. to noon at Barnes Jewish Hospital. If you're a smoker or former smoker, or if you use chewing tobacco or alcohol, you should be screened. The screening evaluates symptoms to determine their cause. Screenings will be performed by Dr. Randall Paniello and other Washington University School of Medicine ear, nose, and throat specialists. Don't miss this free ear, nose, and throat screening Saturday, April 1st from 8 a.m. to noon at Barnes Jewish Hospital. The screening is free, but reservations are required. Just call 362-WELL. That's 362-9355 or 1-800-392-0936. It's the smart way to take charge of your health. Barnes Jewish Hospital, advancing medicine, touching lives. A member of BJC Health System.
Do you experience shortness of breath, wheezing, or a chronic cough? If you have these symptoms or have been diagnosed with emphysema or chronic bronchitis, you may be eligible to participate in a research study of a new investigational drug for the treatment of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. To qualify, you must be 40 to 80 years of age and have smoked 1 pack of cigarettes a day for at least 10 years. Qualified participants will receive at no cost respiratory evaluation and instruction, study-related medical care, and study medication. To get more information about taking part in this study for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or to register for consideration in future studies, please call the Clinical Recruitment Group at 888-914-7400. 888-914-7400. That number is 888-914-7400. Burned out, flooded out of work, battered, beaten, brutalized, homeless, helpless, scared. Right now, somewhere in eastern Missouri, someone is at the end of the rope. Every day, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul provides emergency relief to people who need it most through food, clothing, rent, utility assistance, and so much more. For over 150 years, Society volunteers have made sure Missourians get what they need. Last year, they met almost 500 people a day, but they can't do it without your help. Cars for a Cause is a car donation donation program that turns any donated vehicle into cash, so they can continue to do their work, maybe even in your neighborhood. To donate your vehicle, call Cars for a Cause today at 1-800-240-4225. That's 1-800-240-4225, because you never know when you might be tired, hungry, homeless, cold, helpless, scared. Cars for a Cause is a non-for-profit donation program of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of St. Louis. Donations are tax deductible. Contact your tax preparer for details.
You've heard about Stimatic and the quality carpet cleaning and air duct cleaning they've built their reputation on. So now it's time for spring cleaning. And don't wait. Here are some great reasons to call Stimatic now and get those dirty ducts cleaned out. Call Stimatic now and schedule your duct cleaning. Then you can take your pick of $100 of free dry cleaning for your clothes or shirts, or 3 rooms of free carpet cleaning, or get 6 months internet access service, a $120 value free with duct cleaning from Stimatic. Many of Stimatic's clients see improved health benefits from the cleaner air provided by Stimatic. Get same-day service for carpet cleaning. 3 rooms are only $89.95. Stimatic carpet cleaning dries in just 2 to 4 hours and is recommended by most major carpet manufacturers. Get ready for spring. Call Stimatic now.
Stimatic your home with Stimatic. Stimatic. 434-4600. 434-4600.
KMOX.
The hunt for the pennant race begins Monday, April 3rd, opening day 2000, right here on KMOX. It's a full day of team coverage of the Cardinals, sponsored by Sigma Aldridge. Don't forget to take your radio with you to catch all the action as the Cards face the Cubs at 3. America's sports voice is KMOX.
The popular program, So You Want to Be a Millionaire, frequently is 5 of the top 6 or 7 shows every week. When you look at the new Nielsen ratings in the past couple of months, that program, hosted by Regis Philbin, has taken Friends and ER out of the equation. It's more popular than all other shows. And with us to talk about that, as well as his life in the business, is Wink Martindale. His new book, Winking at Life. The only surprise about that show, I would say, in addition to its success, Mr. Martindale, would be that Merv Griffin didn't produce it.
That's true. You know, there's a big, I don't know whether you've heard about this or not, guys, but there is a little feud going on now, as it were, between Regis and Alex Trebek. Alex feels in print already, and to Regis personally, that Millionaire is so far below Jeopardy. Well, I won't put words in Alex's mouth, but in effect, he's saying that Millionaire does not deserve the recognition and the audience that it's getting, because it is not anywhere near what Jeopardy is in terms of IQ factor on the part of the viewer. And I think that Alex has gotten himself in over his head in this particular subject, because obviously there are a lot of people who enjoy that show, and there are other people who enjoy Jeopardy. So, you know, why open up that can of worms?
There's also Jeopardy's easier questions this time around than when it first came out.
Yeah, that's right. In other words, they have... I remember a show that I did years ago. In fact, it was for Merv Griffin in King World. It was called Headline Chasers. Unfortunately, it didn't have a long life. It only lasted a year. But I never will forget going to Miami, Florida on a promotion tour for Headline Chasers. And I walked in with my wife. I walked into the program director's office, and the first thing he said to me, the show wasn't doing well, and he said, "Can we dumb it down a little bit?" And I never forgot that expression, "Can you dumb it down?" And I think what they've done with Jeopardy, without sounding detrimental to the show, is I think they brought the question factor in terms of difficulty down a level to try to bring more people in, you know, as viewers.
And they seem to have succeeded, as Jeopardy is very popular, and so is the other Merv Griffin production, which is Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah. Merv actually came up with 2 of the great formats for games of all times. You know, the Wheel of Fortune thing based on Hangman. I mean, everybody can play it. And, of course, Jeopardy, I think, is the best format for a game show that was ever invented, with all due allegiance to Goodson Todman. They came up with some great shows, too. But I'll give you the answer. You give me the question. How do you beat that? It's so simple. Anybody can play it.
Ken is on line number 1. Hi, Ken. You're talking to Wink Martindale.
How you doing, Wink?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
All good. Being a game show buff and a radio enthusiast, I'm recording this thing right now, and I'm going to submit it to my radio club for the next issue. But anyway, I just have one question. Whatever happened to the announcer Kenny Williams from Gambit?
Kenny Williams, we lost about 10 years ago. Kenny, Kenny, as a matter of fact, took his own life. He had a very sad situation in his personal life, and he took his own life about 10 years ago.
Okay, now in the world of announcers, who was the greatest? Was it Johnny Olson? Was it Don Pardo?
I think, in my opinion, I think it would have to be Johnny Olson. Don Pardo, of course, has become, a synonymous name with game shows, part of pop culture. But I think that the original name that you mentioned, he was just so much a part of the early days of game shows, and then from radio carried right over into television. So he is synonymous with the word game.
Mike on KMOX, welcome.
Hi guys. Hey, if you want to talk about game show IQ, you have to mention my favorite show, which is Win Ben Stein's Money, and on Comedy Central. I really enjoy that show because he actually has to come up with the answers himself. And it's not just like Alex Trebek, who reads the answers off of a cue card and acts as if he knows the answer. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted Wink to comment on that. And the other thing was, I really enjoy now the Game Show Network on Sunday nights, where they show the old game shows from the 50s and early 60s. And you see all these guys like Bud Collins and Bill Cullen and Johnny Carson, Mike Wallace, and I just think that's really neat.
Well, yeah, it really is, and the Game Show Network, I think, is it's building and growing. They've been on now for 5 years. This is their 5th year, and I think it's great, too, that they bring back the classic shows. And, of course, they have some new shows that they're producing on their own. But, boy, they don't call them classic shows for nothing. You look at them, and you, as I do from time to time, and you see why they were successful and why the hosts were so successful in their day and time. In terms of Win Ben Stein's Money, I happen to be on the next stage doing a show for Lifetime. When they started that show about 3 years ago, I was doing a show called Debt, where we paid off young people's credit card debt. And I got to know Ben, and his show was produced by my original producer in California when I first came out here to do a teenage dance party in 1959. Al Burton produces that show. So I got to meet Ben, and he is really and truly the real thing. He, as you know, he was in the cabinet of Richard Nixon in the White House. He wrote a lot of his speeches. Brilliant man, absolutely. I have never seen anybody in my world of television that had as much up there in that head he is as this guy. He's absolutely brilliant, and to my knowledge, I can't think of anybody else who could bring off Win Ben Stein's Money other than Ben Stein.
Well, then it'd have to be Win Wink Martindale's Money or something. Really. I'd have to change the name of the show.
It doesn't quite have the same ring, does it?
Wink, I want to go back and talk about Elvis. You had a friendship with him years ago?
Yeah, well, I happened to be, my friendship started that night in 1954 when Sam Phillips walked into WHBQ in Memphis and handed Dewey Phillips, the nighttime jock on a show called Red Hot and Blue, the first Elvis record on Sun. It was called Blue Moon of Kentucky, and That's All Right, Mama. And I happened to be there that night. I was the morning man, and I was showing some friends of mine from Jackson, Tennessee, my hometown, around the studios. I'd just been on the air a few months, and here comes Sam Phillips with this record. And Dewey, at that time, was playing rhythm and blues music, what we used to call race music. And Dewey was introducing this kind of music to white Caucasian teenagers, and they were loving it. It was just as that change from vanilla music to rhythm and blues and race music was beginning. Bill Haley, Rock Around the Clock, The Moon Glows Sincerely, that sort of thing. Anyway, we all thought when we heard this record that Elvis was black because he was sort of an amalgam of what he had grown up with, the gospel music, the rhythm and blues music, all of that was coming out in this voice by this guy with a strange name, Elvis Presley. And it wasn't until we went down to the Suzors Theater and found him that night, I'm getting ahead of my story, we called Gladys and Vernon, his mom and dad. They lived in low-rent housing out on a place called Lauderdale Courts in Memphis. And Dewey said, "Where's Elvis? I want him to come down to the studio," because the switchboard just lit up. Kids couldn't get enough of this record. He'd play one side and then the other. And Mrs. Presley said he's down at the Suzors watching a double feature because he knew his record was going to be played on the radio, and he was too nervous. He didn't want to hear it. So we went down, found him, brought him down to the studio. Dewey Phillips put him on the air, interviewed him for the very first time. And that was the beginning of Presley Mania. And then, of course, as he grew in popularity and stature and changed the course of popular music as we had known it, I became a good friend of his. In fact, my wife of 25 years, this August 2nd, dated Elvis for 6 years. So there's quite a strange twist there with Elvis Presley and Wink Martindale.
So your wife gave up Elvis for Wink Martindale?
Yeah, when I came along, guys, forget it. It was over for E.P.
Well, one thing that Elvis told you when he later was on your television show is that he never sang a song at all until he walked into Sam Phillips' studio. And I don't know if I can believe Elvis. With all due respect to the man who's passed on, bless his soul.
Yeah, he of course, the first record he ever made was the recording of My Happiness for his mom's birthday. And that's when Marianne Keisker, who worked for Sam Phillips, heard him for the first time. They put his name on record and just sat it in a file. And then, I guess about 2 years later, they called him in, and that's when he really and truly sang for the first time. But when he would get up and perform at Humes High School, he told me that, he would be scared to death. And he really didn't consider himself a singer. He would only sing when he was by himself, because he really and truly didn't think he was a good singer.
Wink Martindale, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Your book is Winking at Life, and I'm sure you've got an 800 number for this book.
How did you happen to know that, Charlie?
You don't know this. I also do the Psychic Hotline show next hour on KMOX.
Yes, 1-800-375-7722.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, 1-800-375-7722. In fact, there's a whole chapter in there about this Elvis Presley story.
Thanks a lot, Wink.
Thank you, Charlie.
10:43, we have to check in with Joe Sonderman. Joe, take it away.
It's pretty quiet for the most part. 1200 block of Florissant Road, we have an accident with injuries. The right lane is closed for road work southbound on 270 in Manchester, so we do have a brief delay there. And you want to avoid the King Bridge. They have you down to one lane in both directions while they work on the lighting. That'll be in effect until 3 o'clock, and we're also planning to have some restrictions there again tomorrow and maybe on into Friday. So you want to stick with the Poplar Street Bridge or maybe even the McKinley Bridge to avoid any delays there. From the KMOX Traffic Center.
Mike Stenford, take it away.
Okay, we've got a freeze advisory in effect for tonight. Today, lots of sunshine, but windy and chilly. Highs only 50 to 55. Wind chills below freezing for most of the day. Tonight, clear skies, diminishing winds. That means frost and freezing temperatures developing. The official low 32 at Lambert, but as cold as 24 or 25 in our suburban areas with a hard freeze. Sunshine tomorrow, high near 60, and Thursday and Friday partly sunny with highs in the lower 60s. Right now, sunny skies, a temperature of 40 here in St. Louis. Our wind chill is 20. I'm Mike Stenford on News Talk 1120 KMOX.
Hey, are you up for a round of golf today, Jim?
I'd love to, but my knee is really acting up because of my osteoarthritis. I don't think I could do that much walking today.
Osteoarthritis is a condition that causes pain in one or more joints of the body. If you suffer from osteoarthritis of the knee or hip, call 1-877-56-OSTEO. A local doctor is currently looking for men and women 40 years of age or older to participate in a research study to test a medication to treat osteoarthritis. If you use medication to treat your osteoarthritis regularly and have osteoarthritis pain for at least 6 months, you may qualify for the study. To learn more, call toll-free 1-877-56-OSTEO. Benefits of being in the study include study medication, study-related physician visits, and study-related lab work. That toll-free number again is 1-877-56-OSTEO. That's 1-877-566-7836.
Study sponsored by Merck & Company, Incorporated.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about the Pasta House and its Charles Brennan Pasta of the Month at all 31 locations. It happens to be penne with peppers and salsiccia with a wonderful sun-dried tomato sauce that is combined with a pesto. This is the finest sauce they come up with at the Pasta House, and of course it's with the penne noodles, the charbroiled sweet Italian sausage, the salsiccia, and the red peppers, the green peppers, and the onions. It's a wonderful combination, a very generous entree that's served with all the Pasta House Company salad you can eat and those little baby loaves of fresh Italian bread. The total cost is $7.99. 2 people can eat for less than $20 and eat well, my friend, at the Pasta House. They also have Black Forest cake on special all month long, and for appetizers, no better place before or after a movie to get that portobello Frito appetizer. It's unique to the Pasta House. It's a portobello mushroom that's flash sauteed, and then it's sprinkled with a little bit of Parmigiano cheese. Absolutely outstanding. For lunch, for dinner, for carry-out, or for that special occasion, they cater at the Pasta House.
It's Suzuki Fest 2000 at Widman Harley-Davidson, and your time to get special pricing on selected new Suzukis. Plus, get up to $800 in free accessories. Your choice of accessories like helmets, jackets, boots, saddlebags, whatever your heart desires. Get $800 free accessories on the 1500 and $400 free accessories on the 800 Intruder. $400 free accessories on Marauders. $400 free accessories on the 800 Katana and $600 and $1,200 Bandit. Now through April 30th, Widman Harley-Davidson Suzuki, 1 mile north of I-55, exit 204.
Hi, Drew Carey here. You know, some people love being do-it-yourselfers. They change their oil, re-roof the house, and make a dining room set out of driftwood all before breakfast. They get a lot of satisfaction out of it. You know what gives me satisfaction? Having someone else do it. See, now when you buy a DirecTV system and activate Total Choice programming, you get standard installation free. In no time, you'll have the most movies, the most sports, plus access to local channels, all in digital quality picture and sound. Doesn't get more satisfying than that. Yep, to get DirecTV, you don't even have to know which way a screwdriver's supposed to turn. But in case you're wondering, it's lefty-loosey, righty-tighty.
Act now and get free installation when you buy a DirecTV system by April 23rd and activate Total Choice programming by May 5th. Complex installation may require additional fees. Programming and pricing subject to change. Hardware and programming sold separately. See retailer or visit DirecTV.com for details about a local channel subscription. Or call 1-800-DirecTV.
DirecTV. What are you looking at?
It's time to talk tech with Amdocs. Amdocs is a global software developer in the communications industry with strong opportunities for programmers and developers. Because of a continuing growth into Internet technologies and an expanding client base, Amdocs offers a vast future in software development. So if you can talk tech, Amdocs wants to talk to you. Call 212-7575. Talk tech and grow with Amdocs.
Hurry to Famous Brand Shoes, where you'll save $10 to $15 off the entire stock of Nike athletic shoes. That's the entire stock of Nike, as low as $39. Famous Brand Shoes, big names, little prices.
When you need to know traffic information, listen for updates every 10 minutes, mornings and afternoons, from 2 airborne reporters on News Talk 1120, KMOX.
10:50 here on KMOX. Make more business connections at the business after hours on Wednesday, March 29th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Canyon Cafe. Call 444-1158 for more information. Sponsored by the RCGA, Postnet.com, the Ascend Group, and, of course, your friends here at News Talk 1120 KMOX.
A week from today, we'll be talking to author Bob Costas, St. Louis's civic treasure, about his newest book, Fair Ball. It's a look at modern-day baseball, and at that time, we hope you'll be with us. If you'd like a free ticket that'll include coffee from the Cool Beans Cafe in Webster Groves, as well as a chance to listen to Bob's Pearls of Wisdom and listen to the music of the jazz trio that includes Scott Albarisi on clarinet, Zeb Briskovich on bass, and Rick Hayden on the 7-string guitar. That's 7 strings, by the way. Give us a call, 314-444-1827.
Have you ever seen this Game Show Network?
Yes, I have. And amazingly, I'm watching the Game Show Network that is like 25 years old. You're looking at game shows, and I know people who I did know at the time who are contestants, including a college professor.
Really?
So last spring, I'm looking at this thing. No, but last fall, I'm looking at the Game Show Network, and I saw What's My Line? And I saw a game show, a professor I later met when I was in college, you know, years after he recorded this game show. I go, oh, wow, he's on there. And he was an expert on Dracula.
What's your favorite game show of all time?
Well, it's clearly that Monty Hall's Let's Make a Deal was the best game show of all time. It just combined entertainment with a relaxing, with a great host.
I like Card Sharks for some reason.
I'm here to tell you, McGraw, I've never seen Card Sharks.
The Card Sharks was wonderful. Higher, higher, lower, lower, freeze. That was the big line.
Freeze was the big line?
Well, because you had to get the cards in between. So if you had an ace and a 2, you'd say, you know, high, or let's say you had a 2. So the next card would be higher than a 2, so it'd be a 7. So you have to be, you know, let's say it was a king. So you'd say lower, and then be 7, and then 7 you wanted to freeze because you didn't want to go any further.
Do you agree with me that the most overrated game show of all time is Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah, I've never gotten into Wheel of Fortune.
My wife cannot turn off the TV quick enough. When we watch the news, I think it's on Channel 5 or whatever, have it on, and whatever is on, Wheel of Fortune follows some sort of news program, and then when you hear that, Wheel of She runs the TV to turn it off, and I applaud her every step of the way.
Well, that's why you're married to her. We want to find out your favorite game show. We only have a couple minutes left. 314.
There are other reasons why I'm married to her.
Oh, besides...
Not just her taste in game shows.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. 314-436-7900, 1-800-925-1120. What's your favorite game show out there? I would think that would be a deal breaker for me. Like if my wife liked Wheel of Fortune and I didn't, that'd be a deal breaker for me. I couldn't marry somebody.
If you sit around and watch game shows.
Well, my favorite is The Feud. Time to play The Feud.
Family Feud?
Family Feud. The original with Richard Dawson.
Who is the host now?
Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson is
in the new Family Feud. Yeah,
another former guest of the morning meeting. But Richard Dawson did a great job, but he was incredibly irritating.
Oh, he's so annoying. It's so awful. Then, well, see, it's an hour power on the Game Show Network. I don't know, whatever, 11 o'clock at night, because they have the best of the Family Feud, and then they have Match Game with Gene Rayburn.
Yeah. Gene Rayburn, as a matter of fact, used to be the president of our union, McGraw, and I always worried about the fate of our fellow laborers if Gene Rayburn happened to be the president of the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists.
He just passed away. Did I read where he won a Tony or something? He might have won a Tony.
He was an actor on Broadway.
Yeah.
We didn't mention this with our good friend Wink Martindale, but a former St. Louisan was one of his celebrity guests once. Lou Brock was on a program that also included Bob Seagren, the pole vaulter, and Bill Walton, the basketball player.
And what was the name of that show?
Tic-Tac-Toe.
Tic-Tac-Toe.
Celebrity version where you had to donate your celebrity proceeds to charity.
That was a solid show. Let's go to Maryland, line 8. No, I'm sorry. Let's try to get Bill on.
Bill, line 1, you're on KMOX.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm trying to figure out which is the name of the show. There was something called No Whammies. You remember that show?
Oh, it was Press Your Luck.
Oh, Press Your Luck.
Big bucks, no whammies.
Yeah. Well, I really think the best show that was on was probably Match Game with Gene Rayburn. I mean, I thought that was...
But Charles Nelson Riley, you don't get any better than that.
What did Brett Summers do to warrant her celebrity appearance on that program?
I have no idea.
For that matter, Charles Nelson Riley, the same question could be posed.
Well, then you got Fannie Flagg, and you have also Richard Dawson.
And in Hollywood Squares, what did Charlie Weaver do for a living? And was Paul Lynde really funny?
Well, Hollywood Squares is bogus because they gave you the questions and they gave you the punchline. But see, Match Game, that was spontaneous. That was natural, baby.
How about Newlywed Game, where you used to take the cards and they put it in the slot to the end?
Yeah.
Whose job was it to collect those cards later?
But the best was the music for Match Game. Bing, bing. That was the best music of all.
You folks realize that McGraw was also in Police Academy. Hello, Dr. Ron, you're on KMOX.
Yes, I'm listening to that Wink Martindale. That is very good. But you're talking about Gene Rayburn. Did you know he's from Christopher, Illinois?
I didn't know that.
Yes, he's deceased now, but the man was from the local area.
One of the greats.
Oh, he was. But
that long microphone, that 70s microphone, that
tradition.
Ooh, that was weird.
Yes, but the fun part is this. And during the 1950s, when they started out with these television shows.
Yes.
Well, the first one, wasn't quite dramatic enough for the sponsor. That was 21. And so they told Charles Van Doren to kind of ham it up a little bit. And while he was in the isolation booth, he kept taking his handkerchief out and kept sweating and sweating.
Sure.
Now, if you watch today's game shows, you don't see that at all, do you?
Well, that's because they were cheating in that show, which, by the way, was a good movie, quiz show. Robert Redford.
I did not see that show.
Fantastic movie. Fantastic movie. Let's try and get another one in here. Judy, welcome to KMOX.
Morning.
Morning. Got to be brief.
I've got two daughters that love Wheel of Fortune. They started watching it probably when they were 7 or 8. One's in college now, one's a senior in high school. They still watch it. They love it. They love the mystery of it, the puzzle of it. They're honor students. They've got mathematical minds. They've got scientific minds, and they enjoy it.
Excuse me, the mystery of it?
They enjoy trying to figure it out.
The mystery of it?
For them, I guess it would be a mystery. I don't know. Maybe that's not quite the right word. They like the puzzle. They have such analytical minds. They like analyzing,
Judy,
trying to figure it out.
Judy, we're out of time, but please remember, to neuter and spade your pets. We're out of time. 10:56. Hold on.
The Federal Reserve Board